After spending 40 years sculpting various myriad animals, pigs, horses, your more recent work has obviously gone down a more feline route. What sort of what's the reasons why cats are really appearing? And is it to do with your own cat or
Yes.
I thought
for so many years. I mean, just like all my working life, really, but especially probably about 10 or 15 years ago when I was still living in the USA, because I lived there for 20 years. Anyway, I had a friend who was cat mad, and she just kept saying, and she ran a gallery, and she just kept saying, I wish you'd do cats. Your cats would be so amazing. And I didn't have a cat at that time. I thought, I need an animal. And I thought, well, let's have a look at cats. So we actually found someone in Devon who had a litter, and I just wanted a tabby cat.
Yeah.
The bog standard tabby, because I'd never had one.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted a real little stripy tiger, but a tomcat kind of thing.
Yeah.
The minute he came, I could see the possibilities of how to work with the imagery, to translate. And I got so excited about the patterns and the colours of his coat.
And what's he like personality wise?
It's very mellow. And Mussels is looking for that's Mussels as in sea mussels.
Yeah.
He's very devoted, actually. He's one of those cats that will follow you around, likes to be with you, just be very present, but he's not really a lap cat. He chooses when to come and sit on you, which is infrequent, but he wants to be near you all the time. If he wasn't asleep now, he'd come up and sit on the table. So he's in the studio with me a lot and often sleep there. So and in the garden, if I'm in the garden, he comes out. He's one of those real companion cats. And I never had that in a cat before.
You do what you're doing, I'm going to do what I'm doing.
Which is how I think how most people perceive cats is that.
Yeah, the sort of aloof quality. But
very detached quality. But I don't get that at all with Mussels.
No.
Although he's not, unfortunately, draping all over me, which I wish he would.
It is nice, yeah.
I like the fact he just wants to hang out with me whenever he's awake. He's like, where are you? I want to be with you. And that's a real honor. That's really flattering.
It is, isn't it? It makes you sort of work for it. But so sometimes your work's been described as unsentimental. Is that kind of something that you share as a view?
I do really gallop after making work that is not cute and cuddly and hopefully not anthropomorphic, but you know what, Sonia, it just seems to keep like slipping in. I can't. I mean, I don't want to make them look wild either. I don't want them, want them to be domesticated cats, but somehow not be sort of flooded with personality and expression. But the minute you come to do the face, I mean, all sorts of things happen. Although I do so much drawing and planning, I'm always allowed for the clay, while I'm working the clay, things to happen, not tied to the drawing religiously. It's just a guide. But the minute you put the face on, I mean, one tiny little turn of the corner of the
they're
smiling. Like, oh, quick. Down. I don't want them to be smiling. I want them to. Obviously, the face is very important, though. I have made some without a face, and then you do. The personality is elsewhere. So it's something about the minute you put eyes and suggestions of the other face, you are going to get a personality. It's just what sort of personality do you want? Something which is slightly ambiguous, slightly menacing, a little bit of danger. When I'm left to my own devices, I'm much more interested in having cats that are just a little bit more uncomfortable.
Yes, that's interesting. It's and I think it's intriguing for the cat to be the subject in that, because we often see them as cute and furry and fluffy and lovely, and they're complicated creatures. They really are not straightforward at all. No two cats are ever the same. So I love that about your work. And I mean, it's interesting you say that you changed your practice slightly to fit with certain commissions or collaborations, and when left to your own devices, it would be that more kind of, possibly not gritty, but that more sort of unsentimental
Gritty. I like gritty, unsentimental. The kind of because there is a sort of dark side to them. You know, Mussels is fantastic, and yeah, it can be all rounded and purring and pretty shapes and everything. But then, you know, when he's got a bird in his mouth at 2 o'clock in the morning, or I watch him hunting, I mean, there's the little tiger. There's this wild creature. That is, you can't suppress that.
Could you talk a little bit more about how you approach your work, and does it really depend on your mood or the project, or, you know, what does that look like?
Yeah, I think all of those things. Obviously, if I have a deadline that I'm working towards, that's, you know, a need, an impetus to work. So, but I'll be thinking about what I'm making long before I start making, and that's where the drawing comes in. Just putting down ideas on paper and just shedding them like fur, just because they come so quickly. So I get them all, these sketches, down on paper. They're very loose. But then when I need to start making, and I do generally leave things so that I have a tight deadline, so I'm forced to just, because, you know, I can quite happily just go out and do other things. But when I know I have to start, then the drawings will come out, and I might home in on specific ones, or redraw them, or maybe scale them up. Again, they're just a guide. But at the same time, I'm thinking about glazes and doing glaze testing, looking at the tests that I've got, because, you know, I formulate my own glazes, and I'm always trying to change them and develop the colours. I'm thinking about the patterns as well. So all of that is happening at the point where I'm drawing, and also then when I start making. And yeah, once I start, I really just do one after another after another. And some come really easily, some come really, I mean, I'm talking about a day. I might be able to make it in a day. Everything just seems to happen just so beautifully, almost without me needing to do very much. It just comes. And then the next day I struggle, you know, I might struggle to get the right legs, because I start with the body shape, and then I will put the legs on, working towards the head. So I start with a big body shape, and then I'm put the legs on basically so that it can stand up. Then when I come to put the head on, a sketch head, that can just suddenly, it can take too long to get the features right. So I may have spent the day getting the body and the legs on, and then it might be another day to get the right thing going on with the head. Sometimes it's the smallest details that are the most problematic. One little change of the clay, like around the eyelid or something, can change the whole expression of the face. So, you know, sometimes I just overwork the details, and I have to take it all off and start again, or cut it right back. But even still move the legs around, take them off, and rearrange them if they don't look right. So there's a lot of shuffling of the parts that goes on.
And so you always start with a painting, with a drawing or a sketch. You wouldn't go straight into the clay.
Absolutely. I always have something down on paper that I'm looking at as a guide, so that I know what the body shape is like without the legs on. I can see what curves and contours I've got to lock in, because I'm working hollow from the beginning as well. And I think that is because I'm trained as a potter, so we always were working with hollowness. So yeah, I make these hollow body shapes based on references to the sketch or sketches. Again, I might already make some adjustments in that, but without the sketch, I really find it hard to work, because I keep changing my mind if I'm working just from something that's locked into my head.
Yes, it keeps you kind of focused on.
It's like having a map, or it's like if you're driving and you're going somewhere new, you've got a map, rather than making all these wrong turns.
Have your drawings ever been sort of displayed alongside the finished sculpture?
Yes, they have. Yeah, they have. It doesn't happen very often, but
so interesting to see that process, I think, and to understand it as an outsider, kind of, you know, because so much goes into any kind of art, but you know, you're changing mediums, you're changing materials, you're changing, you know, the way that your hands are working.
I think lots of people, and I can forgive people for not realizing that how much thinking goes in behind the making. Yeah, there's I mean, I draw more cats than I ever make, because I can do it very quickly as well, and in a sense I'm sorting out who's the most worthy, you know, there's a hierarchy.
I like that.
Well, I've got so much more I want to do with them. I mean, I've been locked into doing the seated cats for a long time, but the new work that I'm starting, hopefully later this month, there'll be a lot more standing cats and a lot more different positions. I mean, I love the seated form. It's so classic. You know, it's got all those Egyptian references, but also very much the references to early sort of ceramic sculpture of ornaments, really.
Yes.
You know, those sort of 18th, 19th century pieces that came, you know, in their thousands out of Stoke-on-Trent and the London potteries, which are now really collectible, you know, the little mantle cats and things. So, you know, there's that ornament side of it, which goes, you know, deep into my sort of ceramic history. You know, it's the same kind of pose, that seated position. It's just so classic, isn't it?
With the kind of pause and the kind of upright, it's sort of a commanding stance, I think.
It's almost like a vase shape. It's
a
vase with a head, in a sense.
Yeah.
I feel that the cat theme has still got so much to be said, to be done. Of course, there's all the glazes as well, which is just infinite excitement. And the glaze can ruin a piece.
But I'm sure on the other side, sometimes things are unexpected with the glaze, so it can turn out better than you were expecting.
You're quite right.
I think that's where the difference between the sort of historical reference of like the Staffordshire cats and the kind of mass-produced, you know, repetition of having a mold and having and of course what I loved about those is that they would have their mold, so the form was always the same, repeating, but then the painters were different. So sometimes you get these faces that are just so charming because they've gone a little bit weird with the whisker or something.
It's true, isn't it? Just a slightly longer line or a slightly more closed eye. Yeah, the days of the hand painted ceramic.
Where is your practice kind of moving in? So I think we've established it's probably still in the world of cats.
It's still very much in the world of cats. It is.
And you do this really well in your cats, because, you know, looking at tabbies, it's very much about the patterns and the colors that come out with, and less so the fur, because I think it can be difficult to get across a non-patterned cat, because is it bald? Is it like, you know, how do you kind of deal with those textures, and is it to do with the materials you're choosing, and where does that fluidity kind of come forth?
The single color was really unrewarding. Even though I found a glaze that had some interest in it, I still felt it just didn't work as well for me. One of the things that I want to try and explore is doing cats that are not striped, but maybe have like a saddle of color, or you know, some cats are a little bit of pattern, aren't they? With a lot, especially like white cats that have a what are they called? They call them calico cats. I love that sound of that subtlety. I need to sort of prove to myself that, you know, I'm not relying on the patterns all the time to make the piece. So yeah, just sort of aware of areas where I need to. I don't want to feel I haven't explored that.